content. So this is, how are we going to get our content online, especially if we've only got a couple of days, right, to do that? If you were planning on teaching in person, you maybe weren't thinking about using Canvas other than the minimum requirements, but now you're going to be online for a couple of weeks. What are my students going to consume while we are remote? They might have a textbook so they could do some reading. That's great. And you could just say, hey, this week we're going to read chapters 1 and 2, so please do that, so that when we get back in person in the third week of the semester, I'll give you a quiz or we'll talk about it, whatever. That is certainly an option. Other things that you can do, and I have these words here: curate, create, and compassion. Why is compassion there? Because it begins with the letter C, and I needed 3 items to make the slide balance out. No. Compassion, because remember that your students are also experiencing a dramatic transition, dramatic disruption to how they thought they would be spending their time over the next couple of weeks. And relying on assuming that they will be able to get the textbook in time to start learning, I think is a really tough thing to do. So that's kind of why I have that there to kind of keep in mind. And then also have compassion for yourself. If you haven't taught online, or if your only experience teaching online is the humble jumble rush that we all had a couple of years ago, we're all going to, and we all have, and probably will continue to make mistakes as we, make this transition, even if it's for just a few weeks. So keep that in mind, to care for yourself, to care for your students. And then I have these 2 words here: curate and create. Curate is basically finding stuff online that you can share with your students. I do not believe that there is a single class that would not benefit from some pre-made YouTube video that you could grab and put in your Canvas class and say, hey, students, you know what? I'm sorry that we're not going to get to meet this week. This video that's going on about something that's related to the content in our class, let's watch this and let's have a discussion talking about, what this means into our discipline. I believe strongly that there's something out there for all of our classes. And there is a way to find a caption video on YouTube, which I've got that on my slide here. So that's the easiest way, I think, to curate stuff, is to find stuff, not just YouTube, but other video sources. We have some video repositories that we have access to from inside Canvas that I'll also show you. And then create, well, we're using in fact, I'm doing a creation right now, right? I'm recording a lecture inside Zoom. You'll notice that I hit the stop button and then I restarted the recording. That means that at the end of the session, when the recordings are processed, I'm going to have, how many times have I done this so far? 4 or 5 different files. And yes, these files might need some editing at the beginning and the end. You're hearing my fumbling words as I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing. That's fine. There's that compassion again, right? It's okay for us to be human in front of our students. They too will recognize that we also are struggling a little bit with this sudden transition. So if they see me fumbling a little bit, it's like, oh, where's that record button? Where's that stop recording button? If that kind of stuff's at the beginning and end, no problem. Zoom does screen sharing, so I could use Zoom to record a lecture with a PowerPoint or a Google slide, and I'm kind of meeting the lecture part of what a lot of us were probably planning to do if we were meeting in person. So those are the tools, and again, I'll do a quick demo of these. And then I had that other point, pages versus files. Pages are the content pages that are created inside Canvas, and a file is a file that you might upload, right? A PDF file or a Word document. I uploaded a PDF version of my syllabus before. When you're creating content for students, so let's say I have a long article that I want my students to read, it's better to make it a Canvas page versus uploading a file. And the reason why it's better is that many of our students are going to be accessing our courses on their phones. And a Canvas page is responsively designed, which means that if a student is viewing a Canvas page or a viewer is viewing a Canvas page on a smaller device, the text will automatically shrink and fit and look nice, and they won't have to scroll left and right. If you upload a file and they try to access it on their device, they will have to be pinching and zooming and swiping back and forth to view the whole contents of the file. Multiple times in my career, our librarian colleagues have contacted me and said, Greg, can you tell instructional faculty to stop putting PDF files inside Canvas? because students walked up to us at the reference desk. They're holding their phone saying, I can't access this thing, and they're trying to pinch and zoom and all that. That's a consideration to be kind to your students. Okay, so let's do a quick demo and then I'll take questions. So I'm back in my course here. I'll go to the modules page. Modules are a great tool to organize content inside Canvas, right? This module that I've already unpublished about the assumption of risk waiver. I'm going to create a new module, and I'm going to call this module our first, no, let me call this January 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th is Tuesday to the 31st. Okay. I'll click and drag. I'm going to grab the title bar and move it to the top of the, sorry, I have to, where can I grab it? Hey. Well, let me refresh the page and then see if I can grab it. I'm supposed to, whoops. Oh, there it is. There's the handlebars on the left side there. I can click and drag and move that to the top. You know what I'm going to do while I'm here? I'm going to delete this other module. I don't have to worry about the assumption of risk waiver. So on the title bar, I'm going to select the Atkins menu on the right side and choose delete. If you delete a module, you don't delete any of the stuff that's inside the module. There's a quiz and there's a couple of content pages. So those will be there if I need to bring them back. Again, I'm going to get rid of this module. Okay. Inside this module, I'm going to create a page. So I'm going to click on the plus symbol. I'm going to create a content page, and I'm going to call this article number 1. And then I'm going to create another content page, and I'm going to call this content page video number 1, video number 2, whatever. I assume and hope that your titles will be friendlier for your students than what you're teaching than what I just did. But for the purposes of demonstration, open up article number 1, edit. So there's an edit button here. And then this is the rich content editor. I can copy and paste text. I think this is a better idea than trying to upload a file. So let me open up The Economist, and I'm going to just grab an article at random. Let me sign in so I can actually grab the whole thing. Okay, so let's pick an article. What did you expect from Boris Johnson? Great, right? So I could give the students a link to this article. They'd have to log in and have an account, right? I could print this and attach it as a file, but instead, I'm basically going to take this and I'm going to copy all of it, copy, come into Canvas, and paste. I might have some white text and that's an image placeholder for an ad, so I'll have to clean that up a little bit. Oh, there's a link to the listen. That's kind of cool, but I think you have to be logged in to access that. So let me go ahead and get rid of that. Okay, I'll click the Save and Publish button here, so I can save without publishing. Save and publish. You know what I forgot to do is at the top of the page, I'm going to explain why students should read this article. Okay, that's called instructional context, and of course, that's always a good idea. If I was handing out copy of this article in class, right, as I'm handing them out, I'm explaining to them, hey, students, this is why we're going to read this article. So I'll click Save. And now when my students log in, they'll see this article and they'll be able to read it. They go to the modules page. They can't see it yet because the module is not yet published. I'll get to that in a moment. So that's a way to add text. If I'm going to add video, again, I'll take this page, I'll edit it. First thing I'm going to put is my instructional context. Watch this video, right? You could write, this is a recording of my lecture from day 1, or this is a video that I found from elsewhere. I'm going to do 2 examples. I'm going to find something from a depository that we have access to, and then I'm going to show you a YouTube. So in the Rich Content Editor toolbar, there's an icon that looks like a plug, a power cord. That goes to our apps, and those are the various third-party tools we have connected to Canvas. When I select that, one of my apps, oops, let's try that again. one of the apps that I want to mention. Oh, I just realized I'm in a different server now. I can't do that. Oh, darn it. Okay. Let's see. Let's do this in a better way. I'm going to make this real for CRC. So this is our server. I'm going to go into a class here. I've got a sandbox, don't I? Sandbox, sandbox, sandbox. Yep, there's a sandbox. I'm going to go to create a new page. And again, same thing here, right? Video number 2. Edit the page. Paste my instructional context. Okay. In Los Rios, this is what we can do. If we click on that plug symbol again to access the apps that we have, one of the apps that we have access to is what happened to it? Not YouTube, not Sage, the video one from the Librarians. All right. Luckily, videos can be edited before they are posted, so let's try that again. So the next thing I'm going to do is add a video from YouTube to this content page. I've got my instructional context ready to for my students to read. And then how I'm going to add a video to YouTube is I'm going to go to YouTube. I'm going to do my content search, and it's going to be on, let's find something interesting. Spain World War I. I saw a video on this earlier today. I thought it was interesting. Perfect. So here are the videos, right, that I did a keyword search in YouTube. I found a bunch of videos that match that keyword search. But before I start clicking on them to see if I like them, I'm going to select the filters tab, the filters link. And one of the filters is subtitles/CC. When I select this, it will filter all these search results so that all of these videos are filtered, are closed captioned. And these are manually closed captioned, these are manually closed captioned, not automatically closed captioned. We have heard from people in authority that the quality of the YouTube auto caption is too poor for meeting our obligations to make sure that all of our students can access our material. So that's why we do a filtered search inside YouTube. And I'm going to do that one more time to make sure that I explain it. So after I've searched for my YouTube video, in fact, here's one right here. Why didn't Spain join World War I? I watched this earlier today. I thought it was interesting. It's only, 3.5 minutes long? Great. But when I filter for caption videos, subtitles/CC, that video disappeared, okay? I happen to know that Crash Course makes excellent excellent videos. I use them in my history classes already, so I'm going to select this one. Let's mute it. And then after the ad plays, I'm going to copy the share link. And there are 2 ways to add videos from YouTube into Canvas. One is I could just copy this link, and then I could go into Canvas, paste the link, hit enter, hit save, and Canvas should automatically create a little thumbnail. That's great. I don't like the size of that thumbnail. I think that's too small. And even when the students hit play, it gets to be a little bit bigger. No, I want something better. So I'm going to go in here. I'm going to change that, and I'll show you a better way to do it. I've got my instructional context. I have an insertion point. I'm going to go back to YouTube, select share for the video, and I'm going to select the embed button here. This gives me the embed code for the video. I'll select copy. And then in Canvas, instead of just pasting it, because that's just going to paste the code, I don't want that. On the Rich Content Editor toolbar, the last button is like a little cloud. If I select that, it prompts me for embed code. And if I paste the embed code and then click submit, and then I'll hit save and publish, now this video looks bigger, right? Students can comfortably watch the video within the browser window. If they want to go full screen, they can, because they can open it in YouTube. Okay. So I am, there we go. Yeah, And then for Zoom and YouTube, for Zoom rather, if you record a Zoom lecture, and again, even as I did in this one, right, where I stopped and started, for each of my videos, I will get a separate share link. And what I would do is just put that share link into Canvas for 2 weeks, right? Because we want to get something, what can I do that I can get done quickly, that I don't have to do a lot of work with? That's a way to do that. Longer term, what I strongly suggest you do is take those Zoom videos, download them, and then upload them into YouTube. You can make them private so they can't, or not private, you can make them unpublished so they can't be found in a search. And then that way you have a better way, an easier way to share your videos, to embed them inside Canvas for your students. Okay, I'm going to take a quick look at the time, and I'm going to take a look at messages here. How to put the PDF as a file. Yes, I'll go ahead and show that as well. So if you want to do PDFs, and you can, I'll do that as well. Let's come back over here. Oh, I put that in that video instead of in that course instead of this one. Oh, great. Be consistent. All right, so save and publish. All right, let's go back to the modules page. I'll add one more file, and this time I'll do a PDF file instead. And I'll make a content page inside this module, create page, PDF file example. Notice that I did not select the option to upload a file. The reason I did not do that is I want to make sure that my students get the instructional context before they open the file. So that's why I always use content pages. So I've got my page. Again, I'll edit, right? Give me some instructional context. And then I've got the insertion point again. It's basically the process is similar to what we did for the syllabus. I've got my insertion point for the where I'm going to put the file link. And then let's see, that was upload file, upload documents. I will find, I'll just use that syllabus again. Click upload, or click submit rather. And then I'll add this on. I didn't do this before, is I can change, you see where it says link options? I can click on that and I can change the text of the link. So in this case, I'm going to get rid of the file extension at the end, and then click done, and then save and publish. So that's a way to do that. And eventually, when a student clicks on this link, there should be an option. Nope, it didn't happen yet. Within a few seconds or a couple minutes, there will be an option for students to preview the file within Canvas, so that they don't have to download it to read it, in other words. Again, a reason not to do that with the file is that it's harder for students who are using mobile devices. Okay, let me go back to modules and do one last thing I haven't done yet, and that is publish the module. At this moment, students in my class cannot access any of the stuff that I've created over the past few minutes. Even though the article number 1 page is published, video number 2 page is published, PDF file example is published, because those are located inside an unpublished module, students can't access it. So to publish the module, the same thing I did to unpublish it is click that little circle at the top, and that's published. One last thing I'll share before I pause and again ask for questions is I will go back to any of these pages inside Canvas. If you notice, there's a button at the top of the page that says Student View. If I click on that button, it will put me in my class as if I were a student. And so I can now look at my class and I can click and see all the things that my students can see. So there's the home page with my contact information. There's the syllabus. And there are the modules. Okay, leave student view. Any questions? Let's see. Is it reasonable to expect students to use something that's not a phone to experience their online classes? Is it reasonable to expect? Yes. Is it unfair? Yes. Some of our students don't have easy access to computers. Almost all of them have phones. Before the pandemic, I did some research on how our users are accessing Canvas. It's not like 90%, but it was a substantial number of the actual instances of accessing Canvas were through mobile devices. We will serve our students better if we prepare for mobile instruction. Doing that in 2 weeks, that's kind of tough. So I think it's another way to ask that question, is it fair to ask us to prepare for mobile instruction 2 days before the semester starts for the first 2 weeks? I don't think so. There are resources for students to get laptops, to get access points. Depending on how pandemic-y we are, they may or may not have access to computer labs at libraries or on campus. But they almost all have phones.